Hey, hello, and welcome to the Feel Strong Fitness Podcast. My name is Justin McClintock, and we are doing the podcast live again on Instagram on this beautiful Monday morning. We'll give people one more minute, and then we will dig into, if no one has anything else, we will dig into the topic I've been thinking about a lot lately. All right, I say we get to it. So, gang, what I wanted to talk about today was the idea that you can be strong enough. This was inspired by another coach I've met and interacted with a little bit, Josh Clay, online. And it's a feeling that I've had for a very long time, a belief that I've held for a very long time. And that is that you can be strong enough. And if you are strong enough, then you probably need to work on other stuff. Now, what do I mean by this? Let's take compound lifts as an easy, straightforward example. I would say if you can back squat somewhere between 1 and 1.5 times your body weight, you're strong enough. I need a pretty compelling reason to keep working on back squats once we have those numbers. Now, first of all, I admit I'm well aware that this can be an extremely controversial topic, especially for people who've been training a long time, especially for coaches who have been training people a long time with the straightforward focus of always making everyone stronger. That might be the right answer for lots of people. So let's start there. If you are training for, well, the easiest one, if you are training for strength competition, if you are a power lifter, an Olympic lifter, a strongman competitor, someone whose sport is literally the essence of being strong, then yeah, that's a pretty compelling reason to get stronger. One, we've chosen sport, which, as we've covered before, is unlikely to align with optimal health and longevity. Sport comes with a ton of intentional compromises to get greater performance at the expense of other things. That doesn't make it bad. That's just a fact of sport and competition. Sport and competition opens you up to greater injuries. You're going to have imbalances all over the place, and so on and so on and so on. That's okay if sport is important to you. So getting strong for strong sports is a very compelling reason. Getting strong for specific sports may well be a compelling reason, right? If you are, certainly if you are like a field athlete, you likely need to be very strong. And we can start, I don't want to go too far down the rabbit hole here of on-season, off-season training, but there are lots of sport-specific athletes who need to do strength training in their off-season, and or their on-season, depending on the sport, depending on the athlete. Again, that's pretty sport-specific. If your overwhelming goal is body composition, then maybe getting stronger than strong enough is useful. And this is a big maybe. If you look at the sport of bodybuilding, which is, if we're talking about changing body composition and aesthetics, it's all bodybuilding. It is all bodybuilding. Call it whatever you want. Toning, shaping, it's all bodybuilding. Most of the time, the changes people are after, the changes in body compositions, changing the size and shape of muscles, changing the degree of body fat, has more to do with the quality of the contractions and how close you get to failure, and has a lot less to do with how much weight you're using. And at this point, this has been proven over and over and over again. You can absolutely bodybuild with light to medium weights. You can bodybuild with very heavy weights. You start dealing with trade-offs of risk reward, injury possibility, how long things take, fatigue ratios, and so on and so forth. So if what you're after, if the highest goal before anything else is body composition, maybe getting stronger than strong enough is useful. And even then, I strongly suspect that there are certain elements where getting stronger might be for the greater good being moving toward this goal. And other places or body parts or movements where it would not be. There are lots of modalities and training styles out there, which when someone first starts them, one of the big goals is get people strong. And if people are undertrained, or they've taken a lot of time away from training, or they're new to this style of training, then spending some time getting stronger is often a really good idea. Most of those people, in general, are not yet strong enough. If someone walks into a gym and cannot squat their body weight or a little bit more, then yes, it's entirely possible that spending some time just getting that person stronger is absolutely the way to go. We see this all the time in sort of functional fitness, CrossFit, F45, Orange Theory less so, Barry's less so, but places like this, plenty of independent boutique gyms, plenty of independent trainers. They get someone, and maybe for the first 18 months, which is a long time for people to work with someone sometimes, the entire focus is getting that person stronger. Entirely might be very useful. I'm absolutely willing to. I've done it. I do it. Someone shows up and they're not yet strong enough, we probably need to make them strong enough. But when they get there, when they start checking these boxes of 1 to 1.5 body weight squats, 1.5 body weight deadlifts, things like that. And I don't want to spit out a bunch of numbers because to a degree, the numbers are a little bit arbitrary. When they are strong enough, I believe it's time to reassess what the goals actually are. Because it's easy for people to get focused, especially people who are newer to training or have been away from training for a while, to get focused on this progress. Oh, well, I'm bench pressing and I'm adding, 1 to 5 pounds to my bench press every 2 weeks, which would be amazing, by the way. That would be incredible. I wish. And they do that for a year, right? If they do that for a year, they've added whatever I just said, 50 pounds plus to their bench press. Anybody would be happy with that. And that may well have been worthwhile. When they get to that spot, is spending another year making less progress on the bench press going to be the best use of their time and energy and resources? Because that's what's going to happen. As everyone knows, like newbie gains, and if you've been away from fitness for a while and coming back, you can kind of redo some newbie gains. Progress is fast at the beginning. If you're listening to this, it's likely you've seen people and or been the person who walks in and just adds a bunch of weight to their squat every week or every 2 weeks or every 4 weeks and PRs, 5 times a year or more. As you get stronger and stronger, those PRs get further and further apart. And the amount of work needed to get them gets bigger and bigger, right? For myself, going from a 200 to a 250 pound squat didn't take that long. I think it was weeks, maybe a couple of months. But going from a 375 to a 405 squat took months and months. When you start checking those boxes, I think it's an important question to ask, what exactly are our goals? Why did we walk in and start training in the first place? Have those goals changed? And they may well have. And that's okay. But reassessing exactly what our goals are. Because if our goals are health, longevity, function, body composition, energy, which is most people, right? I want to be able to do the things I think fit people can do. I want to feel the way I believe fit people feel. I want to look the way I believe fit people look. Most people have some combination of those goals, and you can pull all the threads and get really detailed with what each person wants. Most people, the most important thing to them is not a 500-pound deadlift. It's not. If it has become the ultimate goal, we just need to make sure we're being honest. And as coaches, I think this is really important. Most coaches understand and have gone through the process of when someone shows up and says, yeah, I just need to lose another 10 pounds. Most good coaches know to ask a few questions because that number came from somewhere and it likely isn't the real goal. It likely represents something. Well, what happens in 10 pounds? Where did this number come from? Do you remember weighing this? Did you feel a certain way? Did you see something? Did something happen to your family? Did something happen in your life? Why are we after this number? And you can often get asking those questions. Oh, okay, so you wish you could fit into these jeans, or you wish you had more energy, or you wish you weren't out of breath after going at your third floor walk up. You didn't used to be, and now you are. Well, if we could solve those things, would that be a success? Would you feel successful whether or not the scale moved? I think most coaches understand that line of questioning and have spent time in that line of questioning defining people's goals. I think a lot of coaches have a harder time shifting it when it comes to getting stronger. When someone says, I've got a 175 pound back squat, I really want a 200 pound back squat. Okay, why? Because coaches often like to train or love to train, have at least at some point had a passion for it. Maybe they still do. Hopefully they still do. And it resonates more easily with them. And they are less likely to ask the question, well, what exactly is squatting another 25 pounds going to get you? What kind of time is this going to take? What kind of sacrifice is this going to take? What else are we going to have to give up? What else are we not going to spend time getting better at? What else are we not going to be improving? What else are we not going to be challenging if we continue to challenge this one, bilateral squatting movement? I think it's imperative coaches do that. The idea of GPP, of general physical fitness, is a popular one and a good one. I think it's important. Let me turn this noise off. There we go. A lot of places that claim to train people for GPP fall down here too, because the people who show up need to get stronger at the beginning. They need to be strong enough. So they spend time getting people stronger. And especially in a group format, like, you're going to likely program a bunch of strength cycles because the average person needs to be stronger. And I also want to be clear about that, right? We are certainly not against strength training. I believe the average person on the planet needs to be stronger than they are right now. However, there's, the 15% of the population which trains really consistently and has been training for a while and enjoys it. It's probably not even that many people, but some of those people are listening to this. A bunch of those people have been strong enough for a while, and they're not challenging other things, right? They have great compound lifts, but their sprinting isn't very good. They have awesome squatting, but their mobility, it's not great. Their balance is only okay. Their agility is, frankly, so-so. And or a lot of those things are okay in a very narrow window, right? Oh, I can do all kinds of stuff hanging from a pull-up bar, but if you ask me to do it in an open field, reacting to somebody else, it's not going to work, and I'm going to, tear off my hamstring or rip an ACL or something else like that. And it's not because they're not athletic, it's because they haven't been challenged in the appropriate way. I believe there's often a timeline on this, right? Referring back to newer athletes or people who haven't been training for a while. There's often a timeline on when it's time to reassess, are we strong enough? If you've been training consistently for 18 months, I think it's worth reconsidering and be ready to come to either conclusion. You may conclude, actually, I want to compete in a powerlifting meet, and so I need to get stronger, so I'm going to keep training like this. Great, totally cool. But if your goal is be able to chase your kids on the beach, swim with them for a little while, help a buddy move when they give you a call, not be winded when you run up the stairs of your house, is spending months or years trying to drive those same PRs up a little more really worth your time? Are you really getting what you want out of it? Or have you become more than competent? Have you become pretty skilled? Have you become pretty strong? And now it's time to maintain that strength and challenge other things. How is our single leg strength? How is our lateral agility? How is our mobility? How is our balance? How is our hand balancing? How is how is your middle split? There's a million things you can work on, and you're never done. But it's worth going through a true assessment, a true strength assessment, a true joint assessment, and determining what are the outlying areas, what are your weak points. People often don't, I have found that weak points are not a surprise to people, because people are typically weak in the things they don't enjoy doing. I think it's a little bit of a chicken and the egg problem. People often don't enjoy doing things that they are/feel weak at. So it goes round and round. And for coaches out there, be aware that plenty of athletes are not ready to hear the idea that they're strong enough. I think coaches, even coaches who understand this, and I've talked to plenty of coaches who understand this concept, they're nervous to bring it up with some of their clients. With clients who love working with them, they love coming in and crushing a leg day, they love coming in and crushing a chest day, and they are nervous, and I understand, bringing up the idea that, hey, we might not need to get stronger in your squat. We might need to work on your pistol. We might need to work on some lateral sled drags. We might need to work on some fan bike sprints. We might need to work on some hill climb stuff, because that's not fun. It's really not sexy, and it's not the thing that lights the client up. If I am speaking to you because you feel that way, or you have clients who feel that way, I urge you to take a couple steps back and help them take a couple steps back, and just make sure we're looking at the goals. If the goals are function and longevity and health and body composition and energy, then I strongly believe that you can be strong enough. If the goals are sport performance, then getting stronger is probably worth your while. And this may well be a season thing. This may well be and when I say season, I don't just mean within sport, right? This may well be the kind of thing for some people that they want to spend, the fall and winter getting really strong, and then they're happy to spend the spring and summer working on all of the other stuff, and getting outside and going for runs and going for rows and going for bike rides and going for swims and pushing the mobility and pushing the calisthenics and pushing the balance and pushing the yoga and pushing all of the other elements that are really important. We know no program can successfully have everything all at once. The same way, if you're trying to communicate with a crowd, if you're speaking to everyone, you're speaking to no one. If your program addresses absolutely everything, it will do a very poor job at all of it. So you likely need to have certain focuses, but maybe you spend a while on an absolute strength cycle, and then you spend a while on a skill cycle, and then you spend a while on a cardiorespiratory cycle, you spend a while on a gymnastics cycle. And not that these things necessarily need to be the only thing in the program at those moments, but they come to the forefront, and other stuff comes back and kind of becomes accessory/maintenance mode. The idea that you can be strong enough is occasionally controversial, which I think is funny, because often the people who rebel against it, some of the people who rebel against it, are the same people who champion training for function, training for longevity, training to be the best mom you can be, training to be the best lawyer you can be, training to be the best boss you can be, training to be the best community member you can be. And if that's true, I think you need a pretty balanced person and a pretty balanced approach. So with that, take a couple steps back from your training. Take a moment to reassess your goals. Take a moment to reassess where you're at, because these things need to be in harmony. What are your goals in order? Very few people truly have a goal. I frequently talk to people who have 5 to 10, and then they'll stop talking just because they feel like they've talked too much, but they could go on and on and on. Other things I want to be able to do. Put them in a priority order. If those are true, now we need to assess where you're at. Strength, balance, mobility, flexibility, all of that stuff. How do those things match up? Where are you right now in terms of your goals? If you have all of these strength, balance, mobility, flexibility, and skill to crush goal number 1, you probably did it, or we can do it right now. We can do it today. Let's go do it. Knock this goal out of the park. Great. Goal number 2, same thing. Now that we've done a full assessment, where are we at? Oh, we're strong enough, but our strength balance isn't there. And we're missing some, we have the flexibility, but we're missing some of the mobility, and we're missing some of the skill. Cool. Now we're going to work on that strength balance and that mobility and that skill to crush this next goal. All of these things need to be in harmony, and all of these things need to work together in order to efficiently and effectively knock these goals out of the park. I am well aware that getting stronger, especially at your favorite stuff, whatever your favorite stuff is. We've talked a lot about squats today, but your favorite stuff may well be yoga. Your favorite stuff may well be pole dancing. Your favorite stuff may well be distance running. But getting stronger at those things may not be serving your goals. It may not. So let's take a step back, establish what our goals are, establish where we're at. Those things will inform what your sort of optimal and ideal training will look like. And if you're not sure, I am more than happy to have that conversation with you. We do it all the time. We adapt and assess people all the time. And we have tough conversations where people might need to change what they're doing for a little while all the time. If that's of interest to you, you should reach out. If you strongly disagree with me, I would also love to hear about it. I love having these conversations. If you would like to come on the podcast and tell me why I'm a moron and getting stronger in, a bilateral movement, for example, is always going to be beneficial to people, I'm happy to hear it. I'm happy to talk about it in a respectful and reasonable way. Gang, I know I just talked for a little while, but I get excited about this stuff. Questions, thoughts, feelings, concerns, criticisms. All right, gang, I appreciate everyone who showed up. I appreciate everyone who came through. We will keep trying to do this on Mondays for now. I will let you know if we reschedule that. There's some moving pieces in my life coming up, so we might push it somewhere else, especially if there are times that work better for other people to be able to join. But I really appreciate it. Thank you all for coming. My name is Justin McClintock. Feel strong.